The ninth revival. I received some good news and some bad news. The good news is that Shen Qingyan immediately rushed to the cruise ship where I was kidnapped. The bad news is that she personally shot me for her first love. She thought I could come back to life endlessly, so she spent my lives without restraint. But what she doesn't know is that this time I'm truly dead. Under everyone's horrified gaze, Shen Qingyan accurately hit my heart. I felt something bursting out. In my fading consciousness, it seemed Shen Qingyan closed my eyes. This is your lesson for getting jealous. I died. This is my ninth death and also the last. I remembered everything. Actually, I am a cat. The kind with 9 tails. On the day I came of age, my father told me that finding a partner and having cubs in our clan is simple. As long as you repay a kindness to the same person for 9 lifetimes, you can bring her back to Spirit Mountain for eternal life. But I happened to, and grew all 9 tails in this one lifetime. I waited by the banks of the river Forgetfulness for a long time before I found the first kind person willing to feed me dried fish. I decisively erased my memories and chose her. I originally thought Shen Qingyan and I would also become a divine couple like my ancestors. But I didn't expect that, let alone 9 lifetimes. In just one life, I spent all 9 lives and still didn't have a happy end, while waiting for my father to come and guide me. I still have to follow Shen Qingyan. Just like the previous times, Shen Qingyan waited until my body had gone completely cold before taking me back to the villa and placing me in the ice coffin specially customized after my 3rd resurrection. Based on past experience, it only takes 3 days for me to revive. The only 2 exceptions were when my heart was taken for Jiang Cheng and the car accident after the fight. Unfortunately, this time Shen Qingyan will be disappointed. I'm out of lives. Forget 3 days, I won't live another 3 years. After Shen Qingyan put me in the ice coffin, she ignored me. She turned around and went to the hospital. Seeing Shen Qingyan arrive, Jiang Cheng hurriedly spoke. Qingyan, how is little brother Zhou Xiu? He didn't mean to let the kidnappers hit me. You must not blame him. I was stunned listening to this. So this is how he used to frame me in front of Shen Qingyan. No wonder Shen Qingyan and I fought endlessly. That idiot Shen Qingyan actually hesitated and started apologizing. I'm sorry, Senior. The kidnapping was done by Zhou Xiu. He had no malice. He was probably just jealous. In 2 days, I'll have him come and apologize to you. I didn't miss the ecstasy in Jiang Cheng's eyes. Is that so, although I'm so heavily injured? You shouldn't blame little brother Zhou Xiu. I've only just realized. The assistant said the IP address used to pay the kidnappers was at my house. First, it couldn't be Shen Qingyan, because she just has some mental issues. She's not a complete psychopath. Second, it wasn't me. After all, wouldn't I know if I did it? Then it could only be Jiang Cheng, who treats my house like his own and enters freely. That kid is quite calculating. I was already very angry, seeing Shen Qingyan serving Jiang Cheng hand and foot. I became even more furious. I only regret that I can't confront her. When she returned home in the evening, Shen Qingyan came to look at me in the ice coffin. She actually let out a cold laugh. Zhou Xiu, when you wake up, you better have thought of how to explain this to me. Explain my foot. Why hasn't Dad come yet? When will I get a body to beat up Shen Qingyan? Jiang Cheng was discharged from the hospital the next day. Shen Qingyan went to pick him up personally. Who knew that as soon as they left the hospital, they'd be surrounded by reporters? Shen Qingyan immediately flew into a rage. But I heard a reporter in the back asking aggrievedly. Jiang Cheng clearly told us to come. So why are we being scolded instead? The CEO of Shen Group's lover is actually superstar, Jiang Cheng. The explosive news shocked the entire entertainment industry. Shen Qingyan frowned and was about to say something. At that moment, Jiang Cheng stepped out. He opened his mouth with a tone that begged to be punched. Qingyan, you don't need to worry about me. It's more important to clarify things first. I don't mind being laughed at by netizens. Hearing this, the pen in Shen Qingyan's hand suddenly tightened. After a moment, she said, "No need to clarify. This kind of gossip will disappear in a few days if ignored." Jiang Cheng asked concernedly, "Will little brother Zhou Xiu be angry if he finds out?" Hearing this, Shen Qingyan completely relaxed. "It's fine. He won't find out. She just thinks I haven't resurrected yet. So she can do whatever she wants, right? I used to think that regarding the rumors about Shen Qingyan and Jiang Cheng, Shen Qingyan didn't know about them. It turns out that even if she knew, she wouldn't deal with it. Truly wonderful. I began to feel lucky that these 9 reincarnations weren't completed. She doesn't deserve to enter the spirit mountain with me. Returning home, Shen Qingyan placed a bouquet of roses in my ice coffin and talked to herself, feeling moved. "I don't blame you anymore. Consider these flowers your apology to Senior." I was speechless. Leaning against the coffin, I rolled my eyes hard. 3 days passed quickly. Shen Qingyan waited by my coffin exactly at midnight. But I didn't wake up. Shen Qingyan looked solemn. But she soon remembered. After the 5th time, my heart was taken, and the 8th time, the car accident after our fight. It took me 5 and 7 days, respectively, to revive. The first time, I didn't wake up for 3 days. She sent me to the Bai family's private lab, finally confirming that the unknown healing power in me could last for 7 days. But in reality, starting from the 3rd day, my physical body had been fully repaired. The remaining 4 days were simply because I didn't want to wake up. So now, as time passed second by second, my body remained motionless. Shen Qingyan also assumed I just didn't want to wake up. "Zhou Xiu, you did something wrong, and now you're intentionally scaring me, right? If you don't want to wake up, then don't." She pulled the bouquet out of my coffin, kicked the coffin once, and then walked out. I watched this, utterly bewildered. But before sleeping, she still called her assistant to confirm that the kidnapper's IP address was at my house. Only after getting a positive answer did she fall asleep. The next morning, she woke up early. Shen Qingyan first went to the room with the coffin to check on me. Seeing that I still hadn't woken up, this woman actually took her anger out on the waiter delivering clothes. "Return it. With such a temper, why buy haute couture dresses? Why celebrate a wedding anniversary?" On the 5th day, I still hadn't woken up. The 1-week wardrobe I prepared for Shen Qingyan had reached the final outfit. Shen Qingyan rummaged through a dozen shirts, only to find that none of them matched. Holding a kitty tie, she came to me in a rage and stood before me. "How long are you planning to lie there? If you're going to revive, do it now. The house is a complete mess. And what on earth is this thing you bought me?" But I was already dead. Dead people don't make a sound. She had to deal with the temper she threw herself. She sheepishly picked up the tie she had thrown on top of my ice coffin and stuffed it back into the dressing room. Not long after she started working, Jiang Cheng came to her office again, without knocking. So every time I come, I have to book through the assistant. But Jiang Cheng never has to knock, huh? The more I thought about it, the angrier I got. She deserves not to find any clothes to wear. Jiang Cheng actually pulled out a tie and gently tied it for Shen Qingyan. "Did you have a fight with Zhou Xiu? He's far too inconsiderate. Anger is one thing, but how could he neglect your dignity?" Shen Qingyan irritably loosened the tie that Jiang Cheng had just tied for her. "That's not the case." I turned away, out of sight, out of mind. Shen Qingyan seemed to have forgotten that. Back when we married, she promised me that whether it was the passenger seat or tying her tie, these most intimate acts between a couple would belong solely to me. "Forget it, I'm dead anyway. Let them go ahead and love each other," Jiang Cheng said, pretending to be casual. "Actually, there are tricks to getting along as husband and wife. Qingyan, you can't always be the one giving in to Zhou Xiu." Shen Qingyan's face darkened, and she remained silent. Jiang Cheng wasn't in a hurry. After pouring a cup of coffee for her, he sat back on the sofa. "Senior, I'd like to ask you for a favor." Jiang Cheng wanted to borrow a house from her for a variety show. preferably one that looked frequently inhabited. And he also needed a guest to appear on the show as his relative. As soon as I heard, I understood. The only house that fit these conditions was the villa where Shen Qingyan and I lived. Jiang Cheng clearly wanted to be with Shen Qingyan at my house to film the show and hype up a scandal. His intentions were obvious to everyone. Only Shen Qingyan didn't realize it. However, Shen Qingyan did not grant his request. Jiang Cheng seemed unbothered. Before leaving, he kindly gave her a suggestion. You've been married for 7 years, right? Sometimes, long-term couples still need a sense of crisis. If my relationship coach were here, he would probably urge me to take out my little notebook to write down these green tea lines so I can apply them in the future. Shen Qingyan actually took this to heart and had her own interpretation. After returning home, she brought a small stool and sat by me. She took out the scandal reports about her, and Jiang Cheng printed by the assistant, and read them to me word for word. After reading, she stood up and said, "Although these are fake for now, if you don't wake up soon, be careful, we might make them real." I was completely speechless. Yes, so very real. You two are a match made in heaven. Too bad she can't hear me. It's already the 6th day. Shen Qingyan saw that I remained motionless in front of her. Her face darkened with fury. She dialed a phone call immediately. "Senior, come to my house for the recording. Anyway, Zhou Xiu doesn't plan on coming back." Jiang Cheng immediately came to my house with bags and luggage. As soon as he entered, the 4 assistants he brought started changing the layout of my home. Shen Qingyan wanted to stop them, but Jiang Cheng spoke up. "Qingyan, this is a live-stream show. I can't let the fans find out this isn't my house. Moreover, changing the layout can protect Zhou Xiu's privacy." Once he said this, Shen Qingyan let them replace my marriage certificate with a photo of her and Jiang Cheng. They replaced my daily necessities, leaving only those of Jiang Cheng and Shen Qingyan. And they were matching couple sets. Even my wardrobe was stuffed with Jiang Cheng's clothes. Finally, when Jiang Cheng wanted to put on my wedding ring, Shen Qingyan finally couldn't help but speak up to stop him. Jiang Cheng said softly, "Qingyan, you're wearing a wedding ring. If I don't wear one, the audience will find it strained." Shen Qingyan was silent for a moment and still didn't give the ring to Jiang Cheng. Instead, she took off the wedding ring from her own hand. By the time the livestream team arrived, this home was filled with traces of Jiang Cheng. Everything related to me was stuffed into the utility room, as if the owner of this house had changed in an instant. The livestream crew asked about their relationship first upon entering. Shen Qingyan gave her senior face, as usual. "We are family." For the morning activity, they chose the sunroom I had meticulously designed. Jiang Cheng lay leisurely on the bean-bag chair I had carefully selected, savoring my collection of coffee. In the livestream, everyone was praising them as a perfect match, but I could see the irritability buried beneath Shen Qingyan's gentle appearance. Today is the 7th day. After my heart was stolen last time, I woke up on the morning of the 7th day. But now it's already noon, and there's still no movement. She has looked at me no less than 20 times. I'm even a bit curious whether she wants me to burst through the door and make a scene, or hopes that I never come out. After lunch, she finally couldn't contain herself. While no one was paying attention, she entered the room, only to see my body remaining unchanged. A flash of suspicion crossed her eyes, but she quickly regained her composure. She glanced at the time on her phone. She lowered her voice and said angrily, "Zhou Xiu, if you're unhappy, just get up and say it. You've really gone too far this time." "Too far, my ass?" Perhaps Shen Qingyan thought I was just sulking and wanted to teach me a lesson. In the afternoon, she opened my walk-in closet and let Jiang Cheng freely choose from my treasured haute couture. Jiang Cheng took my suits one by one and showcased them as his own on the live stream. Finally, Shen Qingyan even had someone bring over the haute couture dress I prepared for our anniversary banquet, while Jiang Cheng was showcasing that expensive suit. Shen Qingyan knocked on the door with pure malice. Still not getting up, You brought this on yourself. At the end of the live stream, Shen Qingyan accompanied Jiang Cheng to the awards ceremony that evening. He wore my suit, tied my bow tie, and walked arm in arm with my wife. It doesn't matter anymore. Anyway, I have nothing left in this home. It was nearly midnight when the awards ceremony ended. Shen Qingyan checked the time and seemed to suddenly snap out of it. She hurried back in a rush. When she reached the 24-hour cake shop on the corner, she hesitated for a moment but still bought a piece of cake. This was her usual way of making amends. She would always coax me like this after every fight. It was exactly midnight when Shen Qingyan entered the house. The house was pitch black. She called out twice, but there was no answer. Shen Qingyan frowned deeply. "Zhou Xiu, why are you playing tricks and not turning on the lights?" Owner's return detected. The smart system's bedroom lights automatically turned on. Shen Qingyan rushed straight to the room, seeing my body still lying motionless inside. She frowned, opened the ice coffin, and grabbed my hand. "Since you're awake, get up quickly. It's so cold in there." Suddenly, she felt something was wrong. "Why is your hand so cold?" "No, your whole body is cold," as her hand touched other parts of my body. Shen Qingyan's face gradually turned pale. She seemed to remember something, and tremblingly lifted the clothes on my chest to check. The bullet wound had not healed. Besides the bullet hole, there were bruises from being beaten. After 7 days of freezing, the colors looked particularly gruesome. Shen Qingyan stumbled back a step. Panicked, she raised her watch to check the time. Then she double-checked on her phone, confirming that the 7 days had indeed ended. She suddenly raised her voice and roared, "Zhou Xiu, what kind of trick are you playing now?" Then she immediately doubted her own words. "No, this isn't a temper tantrum. Why hasn't the wound healed?" As soon as she spoke, Shen Qingyan ran to the garage like a madwoman. Ignoring the darkness, she drove rapidly toward the nearest Taoist temple. Without a moment's rest, Shen Qingyan ran up the mountain, panting hard. "Taoist, the 7 days are up. My husband still hasn't revived. What on earth is going on?" But the Taoist was just an ordinary one with no special powers. He had at most read a few scriptures. He had no idea what Shen Qingyan was talking about. In the end, Shen Qingyan paid him far too much. So the Taoist followed her down the mountain, face full of confusion. When they arrived home, he saw my body. The Taoist was so scared, he almost called the police, seeing Shen Qingyan's genuine anxiety. "And our marriage certificate," he spoke cautiously. "The dead cannot return to life. You should let go, benefactor." Of course, Shen Qingyan couldn't accept this result. She waved her hands frantically in distress. Tears welled up in her eyes. My husband should have revived. In the past, it took him 7 days at most to revive." The Taoist's pupils contracted in shock, thinking he had encountered a mentally ill person. His finger quietly changed the police number to emergency services. Soon, Shen Qingyan noticed the Taoist's strange look. Shen Qingyan calmed down. So he's just useless. But she still paid the Taoist the remaining balance. Then she called Assistant Zhang. "Hire the most powerful masters within 100 kilometers and bring them here." Assistant Zhang had a bitter smile. "Boss, it's the middle of the night. I want it now." Hanging up, Shen Qingyan returned to the bedroom, looking at my body with a lost expression. "If you want to throw a tantrum, then throw one. How could you joke with your own life?" Shen Qingyan held my hands and breathed warmth into them. The more she breathed, the redder her eyes became. Finally, perhaps realizing my hands would never get warm again, she pressed her forehead against my hand and wailed heart-wrenchingly. "Thanks to the power of money, masters from within 100 kilometers of Qinghai City all arrived at my house before dawn. You said your husband could revive after death before. But this time he hasn't woken up right." As Shen Qingyan nodded, the room fell silent. The masters looked around at each other, bewildered. After a while, I saw the one in the back row. A young Taoist whispered to Assistant Zhang, telling him to contact a psychiatrist. Shen Qingyan scanned the group. Whoever can find the reason he hasn't revived. 10 million. The huge reward tempted everyone. Although everyone thought it was absurd, they still tried their luck and took a look. Finally, the youngest Taoist couldn't help but say something. Actually, I suggest you cremate him. He's not dead. In a rage, Shen Qingyan kicked everyone out. Shen Qingyan was a very generous boss, so Assistant Zhang was genuinely concerned whether she was having a mental breakdown. He tried to tentatively communicate with Shen Qingyan as she paced back and forth in the room. Boss, why do you believe the master will revive? Shen Qingyan was incredibly frustrated because of that old Taoist back then. She suddenly remembered, rushed into the bedroom, rummaged through everything, and found a silk pouch. The first time I died saving Shen Qingyan, it happened too quickly. To see what was happening to me, my father disguised himself as an old Taoist and visited the human world. After discovering I died to save Shen Qingyan, he gave her a silk pouch, saying that she and I shared a worldly marriage fate. So as long as she took the pouch back and placed it on me, I wouldn't die. Shen Qingyan had shown it to me before, but I could never open it. Now I recognize it. This is the gift my father prepared for me. He said it could be opened after my 9 reincarnations. Shen Qingyan opened the pouch, and a pile of spiritual dried fish jumped out. Ecstatic, I grabbed a handful and stuffed them into my mouth. As expected of my father, his surprises never disappoint. Mortals couldn't see my dried fish. They could only see a strand of hair in the pouch, wrapped in red thread and a slip of paper. The hair turned to ash as soon as it touched the paper. Shen Qingyan opened it. There was only one sentence inside. The love of 9 lifetimes has finally borne fruit. Shen Qingyan was overjoyed. Fruit of 9 lifetimes. She kept muttering it, then suddenly turned pale. She finally realized I had already died 9 times. Even with 9 lives across 9 lifetimes, there was no more chance. She slammed the paper and pouch onto the floor. Impossible. I don't believe it. After last night, she realized mass screening wasn't reliable. She needed to target the search for talent precisely. The Shen Group CEO offered a reward of 100 million to find an old Taoist and posted the notice on the official website's front page, a line of small print below it. Anyone who knew a way to bring the dead back to life would also be rewarded, which set everyone talking. Everyone was guessing who in the Shen family had passed away. Later, a young Taoist who liked surfing the web spoke up. It's the CEO's husband. People were even more confused. Isn't she Jiang Cheng's girlfriend? Where did this husband suddenly come from? But at that time, too many monks and Taoists had visited my house. Many people came forward to confirm this. So Jiang Cheng was the third party. Someone speculated. I kept nodding as I saw this news, admiring this person's keen insight. Yes, that's exactly him. Once speculations arose, more people began to gossip. Jiang Cheng couldn't sit still and came to the door again. He was startled by Shen Qingyan's dark circles and sunken cheeks. Before he could recover, he let out an even louder scream after seeing my body clearly. Zhou Xiu is really dead. He's not dead, Shen Qingyan roared. She seemed to have forgotten that Jiang Cheng was once her favorite senior. She stared intensely at Jiang Cheng like a vengeful ghost for a long time. Zhou Xiu must still be jealous of you. I want to clarify. Maybe if he weren't so angry, he would wake up. Jiang Cheng couldn't stop her in time. Shen Qingyan opened her phone and saw Jiang Cheng. The messages he sent had been pushed onto the trending list. She slowly turned her head. Her long, stiffened neck made a cracking sound. Senior, why do they say you and I are a couple? Suddenly, she seemed to realize something. Her voice was hoarse and tears streamed down. You were kidnapped together. Didn't you say Zhou Xiu pushed you out to take the beating? Then why does Zhou Xiu have so many injuries? Jiang Cheng was startled by her state. He didn't dare say another word and rushed out the door. Shen Qingyan watched Jiang Cheng's retreating figure. Suddenly she covered her face, laughing and crying at the same time. Assistant Zhang, find the kidnappers from that cruise ship. I want the whole truth. The old Taoist still hasn't been found, but the events on the cruise ship were easy to investigate. The assassins Jiang Cheng bribed. The kidnappers didn't know her identity, but the transaction IP could be traced. Previously, because the transaction IP address was at my house. Shen Qingyan thought I was the one who did it. But she forgot that I avoided her when Jiang Cheng came. Because I was afraid, I couldn't resist arguing with her. It wasn't worth damaging our relationship over someone like Jiang Cheng. Actually, it was just a matter of checking the surveillance footage. But Shen Qingyan insisted on investigating from the source. I don't know what she was afraid of. When the kidnappers' confessions and surveillance videos were all laid out on Shen Qingyan's desk, I finally let out a long breath and pointed it out to her. See, that's the kind of person Jiang Cheng is. Only you, Shen Qingyan, would believe him. If you're so capable, keep digging. Your senior has done plenty of things. Shen Qingyan didn't disappoint me and continued her investigation. On the day all the evidence was laid out on her desk, she could barely straighten her back. The first step of Shen Qingyan's revenge against Jiang Cheng was to post a long article exposing everything Jiang Cheng did behind her back to the public. At the same time, she offered a reward to find the old Taoist, increasing the reward to her entire fortune. While Jiang Cheng's reputation was ruined, countless people were tempted by the huge wealth. Unfortunately, the old Taoist is my father. She was destined not to find him, but scammers soon caught wind of it and came running. The lowest level of scams were the most chosen, which was pretending to be the old Taoist. This kind was obviously fake at a glance, but there were some who told her that there was a way to revive me. Shen Qingyan believed them, but I didn't, because this is the age of Dharma decline. My revival was in operational error. There is no power in the human world that can achieve it again. However, looking at the chaotic state of the house, I was still unhappy. What on earth is going on? It was one thing for Jiang Cheng to ruin my previous arrangements. But why must they also be ruined by scammers? But on second thought, it didn't really matter. Anyway, this isn't my home. But Shen Qingyan's loss of reason left me speechless. She was almost obedient to these scammers, to the point of madness. Shen Qingyan knelt before them for 7 days. Her knees were almost ruined. Finally, she discovered that the slight movement in my body was manipulated by the scammers' mechanisms. Finally, when the police came knocking, Shen Qingyan only then realized how far she had gone. No, absolutely not. To prevent the fact that I could be revived from being discovered and taken for research, she actually went to a psychiatric hospital. Heavy medication left her muddled and made her even more paranoid. Doctor, why is he unwilling to enter my dreams? Is it because my heart is not sincere? Guided by hypnosis, she seemed to weep blood. But in the face of life and death, what use is sincerity? I sighed. The bullet was fired by your own hand. The body is lying in your villa. I am indeed dead, and I have been dead for half a year. Shen Qingyan refused to bury me for a long time. For these 6 months, she took my corpse to visit famous mountains and ancient temples. Sometimes I would soften, wishing I could appear and tell her to let it go. The kidnapping case planned by Jiang Cheng involved overseas kidnappers. My body had to be taken for examination, but Shen Qingyan resisted desperately. But what was the use? The police arrested her as well, because those kidnappers confessed that she was the one who shot me. The test results were placed before Shen Qingyan. Multiple soft tissue contusions. If it weren't for that shot from Shen Qingyan, I might not have even made it to the emergency room. But after all, it was that shot that shattered me. Shen Qingyan tore the report to shreds. You're lying to me. This isn't him. Zhou Xiu is just throwing a tantrum and refuses to wake up. How could he be dead? I rolled my eyes. Shouldn't you ask yourself why I died? Shen Qingyan refused to plead guilty. The Shen family hired the best lawyers for her. pushing all the blame onto Jiang Cheng. As for Shen Qingyan firing the shot, there was only the kidnapper's testimony. There was no other evidence. Even now, Shen Qingyan believed that as long as she found a Taoist priest, I could live. A big fish as paranoid and wealthy as her would naturally attract plenty of predators. For example, a certain organization targeted her. They promised Shen Qingyan that as long as there was a matching heart for a transplant, they could bring me back to life. Their real plan was to make Shen Qingyan pay them to search for a matching heart. But Shen Qingyan thought of Jiang Cheng. Was there any heart more suitable than the one once transplanted from my own body? I was a bit dazed seeing Jiang Cheng's body. Shen Qingyan used to say he was the only son left by her mentor. Back then, she used every trick to ensure that my heart was transplanted into Jiang Cheng, who had heart disease. Because of Jiang Cheng, we had countless arguments. My seventh death was because she decisively pushed me to shield Jiang Cheng from a falling object. I didn't expect to end up like this. This time, she knelt again for 7 whole days, more devoted than any time before. But after ultimately gaining nothing, my body was taken back by my uncle. It had been tossed around so much it was unrecognizable. Because I was an orphan, Shen Qingyan was my only relative. She strongly refused to have me cremated, because she firmly believed I could still be revived. For this, Shen Qingyan hired the best lawyers and refused to plead guilty. By now, I can't even tell whether she truly believes I'm not dead, or if she just can't accept the fact that she killed me. When I died for the first time, Shen Qingyan was just as crazy. Once I was touched by how she loved me to the point of madness. Now it just makes my skin crawl. She held a grand wedding anniversary celebration while holding my corpse. Even though the wedding rings were gone from my hands, even though almost none of the invited guests wanted to come. It didn't matter. She sent out public invitations. Anyone willing to come and bless us would be given 500 yuan. The world doesn't lack bold people. There were people who wanted to earn this money. Thus, our anniversary became quite lively. Seeing her curled beside me with her head tilted and eyes closed, I vaguely recalled that in the original plot, she seemed to be a villain too. The sight of Shen Qingyan holding my body was unbearable to look at. I spent almost every day counting down to my father's arrival. Just as I reached my limit, father finally arrived. "You dead cat brat. I told you to listen in class. I told you not to bring all 9 tails at once." Seeing me, my father raised his stick and gave me a beating, beating the non-existent fur off my non-existent tails. Only when my eyes welled up did he calm down. First, he regained his physical form. Then he grabbed a stool and gave Shen Qingyan a beating. I stopped my father. I had to hit her myself to truly vent my anger. With my resentment settled, I felt refreshed. I regained my body. The physical body in Shen Qingyan's arms no longer needed cremation. It turned into shards of flying light. But Shen Qingyan didn't care at all. She just looked at me greedily. "They all said you were dead." I didn't believe it. I knew you would eventually enter my dreams. I hit her with the stool again. "Stop acting like you're in a sea of tragic love." I didn't see her treating me that well when I was alive. Guilt after someone dies is worthless. "Go surrender." I sat down beside her, leaning against the ice coffin. "If I surrender, will you forgive me?" "No, it's just karma for your evil deeds." Shen Qingyan laughed twice. Her laughter beside me looked worse than crying. "Then I can choose not to go. No one knows you came to see me today. I can keep you imprisoned. We can live just like we did before." I rolled my eyes at her. My hand started itching for the stool again. In truth, both she and I understood. My ability to appear silently is beyond this world's power. If I wanted to put her away, I could produce evidence at any time. Letting her surrender is the last bit of kindness. Before Shen Qingyan left, I told her the truth about these 9 revivals. Actually, that little piece of Dried fish you gave me back then was really tasty. She didn't react at all. Only exhaustion was visible. I watched from the void as she entered the police station. Her back slowly bent as she walked down the stairs. Love is truly the most exhausting thing in the world. Dad is still comforting me. This kind of thing is very common. That little brat next door is on their third time. They encountered a scumbag man, a scumbag woman, and someone who played both sides. After all, human emotions often arise from momentary passion in desperate times, and when they are slowly worn down by trivialities. It's already a blessing if they don't become enemies. Realizing the truth early is better than reaching Spirit Mountain, only to cut ties and become a resentful couple later. What Dad said makes sense. I returned to Lingshan to recover my health. Even if I return to this world, it will be many years later. There will be no day to see Shen Qingyan again. Later, the girl next door said she got a recording of Shen Qingyan before she left, and asked if I wanted to see it. I thought of the pain of cultivating 9 tails all over again. After a moment's daze, I remembered who she was. Forget it, not everyone is meant for a reunion.